All right. So I am getting things set up. This weird setup situation we have here where we're going live on three different platforms. I'm on our Instagram, which is Samba Tree Instagram. I'm also on our Samba Tree Facebook page. And I'm also live on our Samba Tree YouTube page. So I'm on three different platforms, and I'm just having to wait until, everything looks good, and it actually looks good. Well, welcome. Welcome to another broadcast. And I know it's been a minute. It's been something, man. It's been something else. My goodness, the month of May. Woo, I would say, may I have a seat? Because it's been something else, I'm telling you. And but we're through it, and now we're in the month of June. And so, got my dukes up, ready for another month here and see, hey, listen, let's go. I've been actually, one of the things I've been doing is something I haven't done in a long time, and that is push-ups. I got myself down. I said, I'm going to start doing some push-ups. So now I'm closing in at 60 push-ups a day, which for me, going from zero to that is a huge accomplishment. So I'm going to keep on doing it. And man, it's just been something because, sitting down all day, I can't take it anymore. So I start off my day doing stretches and things like that. Just doing things. I'm making this for me. I'm bettering myself. You know what I mean? Because it's not enough for me to tell you to do it. I got to be doing it too, even in that area. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I've been working on, and so far so good. I'm doing all right. But anyway, and then my wife, even, man, she's been kicking behind too, losing weight, 20 pounds, and going even higher than that, and she's been doing it. And got Willie in the chat. Good to see you, man, as always. And so it's been really something. I'm not taking life sitting down. I'm getting ready. I'm like, come on now, So anyway, so today we got a really great topic that I want to share with you about. We're gonna talk about, and again, it's going back to the importance of vitamin D production. And this one, I tell you, I am still learning. Even though we have talked about this topic for a number of years now, it just can't stress it enough. And I'm going to actually take you through some things that you might find very, very interesting. At least I hope you do. And I also hope you will take some of this stuff and actually put it into practice, because this is very, very important. Time that we're in right now. Before we get started, though, I do want to bring this to your attention. As you know, we do have a promo going on right now. I'll just put it on the screen right there. There you go. Our flash sale. It ends at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm looking at, she's saying 6 because right now it's 4:16, 5:16, 16, it's 7:16 right now. Let's just say this. Go as quickly as you can. If you didn't purchase anything, you need to go ahead and do it. Because it's saying 6 there, but we'll stretch it out, later on. But so make sure you take advantage of it. We'll just say this. Today is the last day for our flash sale, where you can save 20% off on those selected items there. Just go to the website again. The website is sambatree.com. If you're not familiar with sambatree.com, Samba Tree, basically, this is our store where, for all your health and wellness needs, we cover quite a lot of herbs and powders and bitters and all kinds of stuff there. Make sure you check it out when you get a chance, okay? Again, the website is sambatree.com. Make sure you check it out. If you're not subscribed to us on our Instagram page, make sure you check it out there. That's Samba Tree. We're also on Facebook. For those that are on Facebook, we're there as well. And you're probably, if you don't know by now, we're also on YouTube. Just go to Samba Tree on YouTube and you'll find us there as well. Okay. All right. So we got a lot of great things we're going to be uploading and sharing. A lot of times you see my face, but in the very near future, you're going to be seeing my beautiful wife, Nicole, on here as well. So just stay tuned for that, because we got a lot of great things we've already kind of working out and working out the kinks, and we're going to have that stuff up for you as well. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and get this out of here. Remember, I'll just, you know what? I'll minimize that so people will know this is what's going on. Let me see. I'll put it down here. Okay. So let me get something up here, and let's just go through this real quick. Okay. All right. So let me just give you, like this last few days, man, I have been really just really doing some intensive study using ChatGPT. And if you're not using ChatGPT, or if not ChatGPT, there's other ones that are similar to that. Man, this is a great window of opportunity for you to learn about a great deal of things that may have taken you years to find out. These tools out here are free, and there's no reason at all now for people to walk in ignorance and willing ignorance. There's really no reason for it now. Now we have the tools where we can ask these questions and we can get the answers that many of us have been looking for a very long time. Now, that's not to say that these tools are 100% perfect or accurate. I'm not saying that at all, but at least gets you a little bit closer to finding out things that, you know, a lot of this stuff that we may not have known in the past had we not had the tools, right? And so now we're in a day right now where we have the tools and we can find these things out. And so that's what I've been doing. So I've been learning everything from, some areas of mathematics. I've gone in this week, was looking into, I don't know if it was intentional. I forgot what the conversation was I was having with ChatGPT, but somehow genetics came up, right? And so I went down that path a little bit. And vitamin D came up. And so it was like a lot of these different conversations I was being pulled into, but it made me, as I was conversing, it was more questions start coming up about a lot of things. And I'm going to actually pull you in on one of those in particular. I did a post on one of our other platforms, which is Samba Journeys. And I talked about the origins of mankind. Now, that was just a short post, but for our research team on that platform, I actually gave a more in-depth explanation and did a little study on that as well, and gave them some notes so that they can look through it and all of that. And what it did was it actually challenged this belief that many of us have held on to for a long time, that mankind began with a man and a woman, singular man and singular woman. And I've always believed that, even in my days of asking some really difficult questions, some challenging questions as it pertains to the Bible itself, I still believe that. I believe that, okay, man and woman began, it was one singular man and one singular woman started this whole thing. That's what I believe. But then I started looking into the science of it, because, people who believe the Bible, hold on to it, they have no problem looking at using science when it comes to trying to validate, let's say, Moses crossing the Red Sea, or with some other events in the Bible, Jesus feeding the 5,000 or whatever it is, they will try, or Noah's Ark. That's a big one. Noah's Ark. That's a big one that a lot of people like to lean on science to try to prove that, yeah, Noah was in the ark and he had animals that came in. They just kind of subconsciously knew they're going to have to stack up in there 2 by 2 and all this other stuff. Right. So you have Bible believers who will lean on science to say, yeah, this actually happened. So if we can lean on science for that, why can't we lean on science when it comes to this whole storyline as it pertains to Adam and Eve, right? So I started looking into it. Now, this is me. I'm late to the game, okay? This ain't, I'm not trying to posture myself as someone that discovered this and nobody else has. Trust me. People have been saying this for years. It's just my ears have been closed to it. And so basically, long story short, when you look at it from a scientific perspective and you look at, if you go all the way back, right? And you look at, okay, can we narrow down mankind to just a singular man and woman? Science has not been able to do that. Genetic people who are in that field of genetics and studying DNA and all that, they haven't been able to do it. At best, they was able only to narrow it down to maybe 1,000 or maybe a couple of thousand people. That's it. Now, I'm going to tell you why I'm saying all this in a moment. I know I'm giving you a lot, but trust me, it does relate to our main topic here. When both, like, let's take me and my wife, Nicole. As me, let's start with me, for example. I have millions and millions of lines of DNA. It's all unique coding. My wife, same thing. She's got millions and millions of lines of unique coding. Same thing with you. We all as individuals have these unique lines of DNA codes that basically tell a very unique story, right? But when we get together, my wife and I got together, we have our children, there's only 4 that are of that coding is passed down to our children. While at the same time, they have their own unique DNA story that's developed, okay? But there's only 4 parts of that that's passed down to our children, okay? And that's that's actually a good thing, because you don't want duplicates of yourself running around everywhere, right? But the bigger thing is this. Many of us are familiar with inbreeding, right? You know, a lot of times we think of the people in Appalachia. When you see people who are inbreeding, you know, brothers and sisters and cousins and all of that, what happens? You have, you know, a lot of deformities and things like that. Not only that, you have your body isn't, what happens, I thought I saw someone walk by the window. Your body isn't fully developed to fight off all kinds of sicknesses and diseases. So the way our human bodies, which are amazing machines, for lack of a better term, it generates these new, when we are conceived, it generates these new codings that keeps us unique in many, many ways, but we do have that little bit of our parents that's inside of us. Okay. So when we think of Adam and Eve, for example, Adam and Eve, when they got together and they had their children, the variables that they have, they can only pass down, as I said earlier, four strains of that coding. That's it. That's all they can pass down. That is not enough to generate billions and billions and billions of people that we've had on the earth since thousands and thousands of years ago, whenever the Garden of Eden was supposed to take place. It's not enough. You need more variables, right? Now, let's fast forward just a tiny bit and let's look at the Zulus, right? Let's look at a group like for example, when we're looking at Africa, let's look at the Zulus. They've done studies on the Zulu people, and to find out, because this is a group that if you look at them, if you follow them close in their history, they don't tend to marry outside of their group. Okay, we're not talking inbreeding. We're just saying that Zulus tend to hang with Zulus. I'm talking about traditionally. Again, we're just using Zulus as an example. It can be any other group. All right. But they have a long ancient history of always intermarrying with each other. So what scientists have done, they've done several studies on them, and they said that even studying them, what they've been able to discover is that even with them, the furthest they can narrow down their origin point is about 1,000 people. Okay. And so, because they said when you look at Zulus just in general, they're so diverse in their genetic structure, their DNA structure, it just could not, there's nowhere in the world it could come from 2 people. Now, there are people out there, like Christians, Bible believers, or whatever, you may hold on to a belief that, hey, listen, I know what you're saying, but this is what the Bible says. And I've always tell people all the time, what you choose to believe, that's your belief. I'm not mad at you, okay? You want to believe that, the storyline, believe it. I'm not mad at you. But belief, regardless of what it is, in this case we're talking religion, does not equal to fact. It doesn't. And we can't pick and choose when we want to use science versus when we don't want to use science to support our belief system. You know, you got to be consistent. And so when you look at, you know, how people evolve over time, you got to also look at science at that as well. So when you look at science, there's everything that we see today, all these different variables. There's no way it could come from just simply two people. Basically, let's just assume the Adam and Eve, they were just jet black. Okay, let's just assume that for a moment. You also got to give account for different phenotypes. So let's say you see my phenotype here, and those that see my wife, Nicole, you see her phenotype. There's no way in the world she's going to give birth to a child with straight hair and slanty eyes, and let's say a wide, flat nose or whatever, thin lips on her own. Between us, that's not going to happen genetically. It just isn't. You understand what I'm saying? Because because we can only pass down 4 parts. That's all we can pass down. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, all that to say, now let's take a look at why we have our different skin tones. Well, when you look at our different skin tones, so now that we're looking at this possibility that, okay, we didn't start off as just from 2 people. A lot of the science is saying we actually started from a group of people. So that opens up a whole lot of stuff there, right? So now let's take a look at these different skin colors. Now let's look at different skin colors, right? When we look at our skin colors, for example, white people, the reason why they have the skin that they have is because of the fact that by nature, when you go back into their own ancient history, many of them lived in regions where they did not have a whole lot of sun. So what it basically means is that by having that lighter skin, they need to have skin that's optimized to get as much sun as possible very quickly so that it can convert that into vitamin D and all of that, right? So that's why they have the skin that they have, so that they can take even the slightest bit of sunlight and they're able to convert it and make it into something that's usable for the body, right? Now, when you look at black folks, well, look at our skin, it's darker, which means that unlike white people, we need a lot more sun. And our skin basically is telling the story that that our ancestors came from a place that had a lot of sun. All right. So what that means is our skin type, every time we look at our skin, it should tell us automatically, hey, you need to be out there in some sunlight. You need to get some sun. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we are today. So I went through all of that. There's a little bit more I could explain, I could discuss on that, but I want to kind of just stay on this track here for a moment. So fast forward to today, black folks, just like white people, we can live anywhere. White people can live anywhere on the earth. They can live in Europe if they want to. If they want to live down in a hot region, they can live there if they want to. If they want to live in a region that's kind of in between, they can live there if they want to. Black people are no different. We can live in any region we want to, okay? We can live in any region we want to. However, when we look at our skin is telling us that there's some slight things that when it comes to lifestyle, that we need to be very aware of when it comes to when it comes to the area of vitamin D. Okay. White folks, for example, they can go outside for a little bit, come in and be like, okay, well, la, 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 whatever. Black folks, on the other hand, no, we have to be outside a little bit longer than they do. And I'm going to go through some numbers here in a moment and show you some of this. Now, so when you look at your skin, that should automatically tell you we're the sun people. We got to be out in the sun. All right. And so what's happened is that when we look at the Western lifestyle, most of it is indoors, isn't it? So a lot of our time that we spend, it can be in the summertime, it can be in the wintertime or in the springtime or whatever. A lot of the time that we spend, we go, we wake up in the morning, we go to sleep at night, we're going to sleep in a closed environment, right? We wake up in the morning, we wake up into a closed environment. We get up, wash up, put our clothes on. We go into a car, which is also a closed environment. We drive to whatever our destination is, be it work, school, or whatever. We get out of our car in that brief moment, we're fully exposed to the sun, right? If it is sunny, then we go back into an environment that's closed off. So on average, we're probably spending about 10 to 12 hours, if not more, I would argue, inside an environment that's absent of pure raw sunlight. Well, when it comes to people who have lighter skin than us, well, they're okay with that. They can get their vitamin D. In fact, when you look at white folks and their vitamin D production, they're pretty much at the normal scale for white folks. They're pretty much there because they don't really require as much time in the sunlight. However, when you look at the numbers for black folks, man, we are deficient. We're very deficient because subconsciously we are trying to live the same lifestyle that they're living when it comes to sunlight. So this is why it's important for us. And I'm going to go through some of the benefits of us making sure that we expose ourselves to a healthy amount of sunlight. Okay. So this is why in the title, that's what I said. We can't live like everybody else when it comes to our exposure to sunlight. Every time you see your skin, you should be reminded that, hey, listen, I'm a sun person. I got to be out in the sun. You know what I'm saying? So let's take a look at some things here I'm going to bring up on the screen here in a moment. And again, for those that are just joining us, thank you so much and welcome. And let me put this up here. Again, we're looking at using ChatGPT. And let me see here. Get rid of that. And bring myself back up. Okay, there we go. All right. So here's some of the benefits here. These are just going to go through this very quickly of vitamin D and what happens when you're deficient in it. Okay. Bones and muscles, rickets in children, fracture risk in adults, weaker, fast twitch muscles, fibers, higher fall risk. Brain and cognition, faster cognitive decline in black elders unless vitamin D intake is high, links to depressed mood and poor sleep in sunlight deprived workers. So when you see a higher rate, let's say of depression, particularly among black folks, vitamin D has a role in it. Now, let me be clear. Vitamin D plays a significant role in this, in everything we're talking about, but it is not the silver bullet. In other words, there are other factors such as your family, such as your diet. There's other factors as well. We're just focusing on vitamin D. That's what we're focusing on in this video here. Also your immune system. Low vitamin D impairs innate antiviral peptides deficiency, is overrepresented in severe COVID cases among Black and Asian patients. All right. Metabolic and endocrine. Higher insulin resistance and diabetes risk signals when D is low. So this is another factor into why we're seeing so many Black people have a high diabetes rates. Part of a factor in that is, in fact, that many Black people are not getting the proper amount of sunlight and vitamin D via supplements in their bodies. Cardiovascular data shows a tie with low vitamin D to hypertension and other things, right? And then pregnancy and newborns. Maternal deficiency raises odds of, they talk about pre-eclampsia, gestational diabetes, low birth weight, and infant rickets. So as you can see, just in these few things here, that it's very, very important for us to have exposure to sunlight and vitamin D, because vitamin D is what your body produces when it's exposed to sunlight. All right. So this is it's extremely important, especially when it comes to your mind. This is something that we have been talking a lot about lately on our other platforms about the importance of your brain, and keeping a healthy brain. Here's something else here. Let me bring this up here as well, and we could take a look at this. Systems that benefit most from a high D lifestyle, brain and CNS, supports neural protection and neural transmitter synthesis, and may slow age-related cognitive decline. Skeletal, it boosts intestinal CA absorption, lowers fracture rickets risk, combined with chola or dairy derived CA builds peak bone mass. Muscle enhances muscle fiber performance and recovery. Vitamin D receptors in skeletal muscles regulate protein synthesis. Your immune system, endocrine and metabolic and cardiovascular, those same things. So again, I am not suggesting here that vitamin D is the absolute silver bullet to all your health and wellness needs. It's not, but it does play a very key role in your whole thing. All right. And so for those that are just joining us, what we've been saying is, unfortunately, many Black people, we do not get enough. We don't realize the fact that we need ample amount of vitamin D. We need it. It's not so we cannot live a lifestyle that's similar to what a lot of people who may not have our skin type. We have to try to figure out a way we can live a life where it involves more exposure to sunlight and also an intake of things that we need to boost our vitamin D production. All right. Let's go to, so what I did was on ChatGPT, I was doing several studies just on my own. One of the things I was looking at was, okay, I want you to, because it mentioned in a conversation that I had prior with ChatGPT, it mentioned that Blacks who live in, let's say, the UK have a higher risk of brittle bones because they are in an environment where they're not getting as much sunlight. And it's also tied to a number of other things that those same Black people, if they were living in Africa, they wouldn't be dealing with. So then I said, okay, well, let me think about America, for example. You got a lot of Black people that live here. What areas in the United States, from the least to the greatest, are the most conducive when it comes to sunlight, getting ample amounts of sunlight? And basically, like I said, I can show you a lot of stuff here, but I'll just tell you, just take my word for it. You can look it up on your own. The Northeast is by far the worst. It's by far the worst place that for Black people who require ample amounts of sunlight, it's considered probably one of the worst places, because you think about it, it's not as sunny. You have those extreme seasons where when it gets cold, especially when it gets cold, you tend to stay in a lot. And what happens? You're wearing coats, you all covered up and everything. So you really not getting a whole lot of sunlight, right? The Southeast is better. It's better, but it's not really, it's a better option. If you had a choice between living in the Northeast and the Southeast would be the better choice. Specifically, according to what these studies show, South Florida. The South Florida area is a great area for Black people to live because your proximity, you're getting that ample sunlight and your proximity to the equator, right? So South Florida, and guess where the other place is? Right here in Arizona. Arizona is on the top of the list when it comes to the best place that people that have my skin type or maybe a little lighter, different shades of dark. Arizona is by far the best place for people of our skin type to live because of the vast amounts of sunlight that we're exposed to year round. which means you're getting all that great UV. I know you hear a lot of times they say UV is bad, bad, bad. No, UV, we need that. We need UV rays going into all in our system and everything. Okay. So yes, it's Arizona by far on top of the list when it comes to the amount of ample sunlight that we get here, and it's the most ideal place for Black people to live. All right, so I happen to be here, so I'm glad of that. Okay, so what I did was I went on ChatGPT, and I'm gonna show you what I did. And what I wanted to do is to create some type of blueprint, because I wanted to find out, okay, since now I got this information, what are some ways we can maximize my living experience here in Arizona? Now, by the way, as I'm going on with this is not suggesting that you need to pack up everything and move to Arizona. I'm not saying that at all. What reason why I'm showing you this is because you can do the same thing regardless of where you live. Even though the Northeast may be the worst when it comes to our exposure to sunlight, there are still things you can do to get ample amount of sunlight. Not just sunlight, but also by way of supplements and by way of things you eat in your diet, right? There's still a lot of things you can do. Let me give you an example. My wife, she can give an account of this too, testimony on this as well. I would start off my day when I was living in New Jersey a few years ago. I would start off my day early in the morning, and you know, in the Northeast, you got a lot of trees, or just say the East Coast, lots of trees. We don't have a lot of trees out here, but there was a spot on our property where the sun would just come out, and it just so happens it was our front door. I could sit my chair there, and for like an hour or so, I would sit out there and just get all this sunlight. And as I was doing that every day, I began to notice that I start getting all these fresh ideas about a number of things. Like I was like, oh my gosh, well, what about this? I mean, I started automatically noticing differences in just my mind, right? And I immediately noticed that. And my wife, she was noticing it as well. So yes, there are things you can do, even if you live in the Northeast. You can maximize it by going to the park or going to the beach or whatever. So I just want you to understand that it's not that this is not an appeal that every Black person needs to move to Arizona. That is not what I'm saying at all. I'm just using Arizona as an example. Okay. All right. So let's go on and let me show you what I was able to come up with. Okay. Let's take a look. All right. So sunlight strategy, because I wanted to put together a blueprint. All right. And I'm just going to zoom through this real quick here. Sunlight exposure. They said why Arizona outshines other states in natural vitamin D. And they say clear sky days. We have a lot of clear days. UV index is high, right? Humidity, haze, altitude bonus. We have we're at a much higher altitude. Okay. So that's that. Okay. I'm just kind of zooming through that. Okay. Now this part here, it gave me a sunlight strategy. All right. And this is what you can do where you live. All right. Season March to October. The optimum time that I need to be outside is between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. And it's telling me exposure recipe, 20 to 30 minutes, making sure that I'm getting exposed my arms and my legs. All right. And then they have some extra notes here. Make sure you hydrate and all of that stuff here. Okay. And then that's from March to October. November to February, the optimum window for people that have skin like me will be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And because the days are shorter, or the sun is a lot further away from us, right? You need to stay out a little bit longer. Notice that? So it's 30 to 45 minutes for your arms and legs. All right. Now, I will add this, because this was something else I noticed. It was kind of funny. Now, every day where I walk it's not that far from where I live, but every day I try to walk every day. It's usually like a couple of miles or so. And, out here, the sand tends to be pretty bright, right? And so I was just curious. I said, it's because sometimes it can be really strikingly bright as I'm walking out there. And I was like, man, there's got to be some health reasons for, some health benefits from this. And sure enough, there are. There are plenty of health benefits. The main one, of course, is, being fully exposed to the sun. You're getting that direct on your body. Okay, so that's one. But also, because I'm walking on a surface that's highly reflective, it's reflecting off and I'm getting like dual amount. So instead of me just getting it from the sun directly, it's also reflecting off of the ground and it's coming up on me a second time. And so the other thing I do when I'm walking, especially now that it's warmer, I always walk with my shirt off, and because what I found out is this area, especially for you men, I ain't talking about you ladies now. Okay, don't do that. Okay, don't get arrested. Okay. We don't want topless day for women. Okay, we're not advocating that. Okay, we're not advocating that. But for the men, it's especially crucial for you to expose as much part of this area from your neck down here, your torso area, to the sun. One of the benefits is that it raises your testosterone. All right. So when you expose your body to the sun, there's a reason why Superman had that S on his chest, ain't it? And there's a reason why he get his energy from the sun. They've been trying to tell you. So when you expose your chest area, your torso area, all of this to the sun, you're getting the maximum. Your body's like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. Because now you hitting all the points. So your legs, you can expose that too. Your toes and all of that. You could do that. But it's this area right here that needs to be exposed the most. All your chest area here, your arms, your face, your head, those areas, that's the areas that need to be the most exposure. So that's what I do, but you don't have to. In other words, if you don't feel comfortable with that or whatever, that's fine. Just wear a very light shirt, because the UV rays is going to penetrate through that anyway. That's just me wanting to make sure on this walk, I want to have maximum exposure. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's get back to this. Let's go back here, get my face up. All right, there you go. And so anyway, it goes on, and ChatGPT was able to give me some of this other information, telling me what type of clothes I should wear for synthesis sessions on short sleeve tee or tank or shorts, breathable, light colored cotton linen to keep core temperature down. So try to make sure you wear some cotton, get some 100% cotton. Don't be out there in no polyester. Okay. For the rest of the day, wide brim hat. They're saying, wear a hat and all of that if you want to do it. I personally don't, but whoever wants to, that's you. And make sure, of course, you're drinking plenty of water. I also drink coconut water as a way to replace in those electrolytes, because as you're sweating, you're also losing those electrolytes as well. And so coconut water is a great choice for that. All right, best, and it even breaks it down by regions in my state. The best micro regions in Arizona for a vitamin D centric lifestyle. And so, again, this is just a blueprint. This is here in Arizona. It breaks it down by zone: Phoenix, Tucson, Yuma, and then the high desert plateau. It breaks it all down, and it tells me the benefits of each region. If you do this yourself on ChatGPT, it'll do the same exact thing wherever you live. Okay. Nutritional and herbal toolbox. This is the desert edition. So one of the things I also asked, I said, what are some of the local herbs and plants and things I should be consuming more of if I'm living in this region? And so it listed it out for me, like sun-dried tomatoes, cholla cactus buds, mesquite pod flower, prickly pear pads and fruit, purest lane and wild amaranth, and then some other things like fatty fish, salmon, sardines, egg yolks, fortified plant milks, so forth and so on. And then it goes on. I actually covered this earlier when I was talking to you. And then it also gives you a weekly implementation blueprint. Monday, 20-minute brisk walk. They tell you what time you should do it. And then Tuesday, sun, commute, bike. You can mix it up. They're just giving you some ideas of how to mix it up so that you can maximize this beautiful sunlight that we have in our region. All right. They even mention hikes, what you should do in the evenings, go swimming, things you should take, all that kind of stuff, right? And then they list out the 7 key advantages Arizona offers over other states. I don't have to go over that. And so again, this is for Arizona. But what I am telling you is you can do the same exact thing for your own state, wherever you live. Ask ChatGPT, hey, listen, as a person with dark skin, how can I maximize the a natural vitamin D production in my body by using the sun and other natural foods or whatever like that? And it will give you that. It will give you all that information. And so this is something I would encourage anybody to do. So again, to recap again, the dark skin that we have is it's a very beautiful thing that we have. Just like people who have white skin, same thing. When you go and look at our DNA genetic tree, our bodies would adjust to whatever the environment dictated. So like one day I was being funny, but I'm not going to even say it. Basically, I am in the back of my mind, I am working on a project on dispelling hood science. I'll just say that. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of things even I used to repeat that I'm finding out was not true. For example, when I would hear people say that white people who have, because they have less melanin, that means they're deficient. And that is not true. That is deficiency. You got to pay attention to the words you're using. No, it just simply means that white people, the environment that their ancestors originated from, they didn't need a lot of sunlight. Just like with us, the environment we come out of, we needed a lot of sunlight, right? And for someone to say that white people are deficient in vitamin, or rather in melanin, it would be like the same way of me saying that pygmies are deficient in height. You understand what I'm saying? But that's not a true assessment at all. It just, the reason why you have pygmies who tend to be a certain height, again, it's because over a long period of time, their genetic story dictated to them that they had to be of a certain height to maximize their well-being. Do you understand what I'm saying? So never look at skin color as any kind of like it's a disadvantage, regardless if you're talking white people, black people, whatever. It's not. What you're looking at is a long story, a very long genetic story that's telling us and giving us clues and hints on the things that we need to do to maximize our health. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's pretty much it that I wanted to share with you on that. But make sure you're making use of these tools like ChatGPT and other tools out there and ask these types of questions. You know, when you're out and about, you can, again, people with skin like ours or black folks, we can't operate like everybody else when it comes to our exposure to sunlight. I saw a video not too long ago. It was a bunch of black folks who were like laughing at white people, you know, because they were laying out in the sun and all of that. And I'm looking at it like, you need to be right next to them. You need to be getting even more sunlight. You know what I mean? And this is a very critical thing. So do it. You know, sunlight is very key, very key. I would equate it to drinking water. You need to have daily doses of sunlight every day. All right. But make sure you do it healthy, right? Now, and also too, you have people who are black, or they will be considered black, but they may have lighter skin. Well, those people, they have to, you know, you got to play it by ear as well, because if you have lighter skin, what that's telling you is that you may not need as much sunlight as I do. You understand what I'm saying? So listen to that, okay? And that's why I'm saying that whole hood science thing where they say, well, white people, they're just deficient. Well, if white people are deficient, then we also got to look at the black folks who have lighter skin. They must be deficient too. You understand what I'm saying? So, but they're not deficient. It just simply means that their genetic story dictated that they don't need as much sunlight as everybody else. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody else that's got skin like mine. You understand? So this is a very important topic, especially for us as men, It's very critical for us to pay close attention to this, because it plays a key role in so many areas of our lives, especially our minds. Especially our minds. People stay in house all day, and they stay in front of these computers all day under these LED lights all day, and you wonder why people are sounding crazy and acting crazy and stuff, because they are inside all day. You need to be outdoors, enjoying the sunlight, real sunlight, okay? And if the weather is kind of iffy or whatever, I know, make sure you position yourself near a window where sunlight is coming in. Now, the disadvantage of that is windows do block a lot of UV light, okay? So you got to keep that in mind. But get outside. If you're in a region like me where it's very hot, it can get very hot. Go out first thing in the morning, or go out right before the sun is going down, and get that exposure, okay? I think that's all I have for you for this week. Make sure, again, I'm going to show this up on the screen. Well, it's on the screen now. Our promo is ending tonight. I know it says 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but that's kind of a mistake there, because we're past that time now at the time of this broadcast. But today, Friday, June the 6th, you have until late tonight to take advantage of our special flash sale. All right, 20% off. Again, go to the webpage, sambatree.com. All right, because after this, it's going to be a whole wrap. All right, so that's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys take care, and I will see you again real soon. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, week, and everything else. Take care now. Bye.